If you're over 65, you know your driver's license isn't just a piece of plastic in your wallet. It's your freedom. It's how you get to the grocery store, to your doctor's appointments, how you see your family. It's your connection to the world. But lately, there's been a whole storm of rumors online, posts on social media creating a lot of confusion and, frankly, a lot of anxiety about new rules that could put that freedom at risk. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're going to separate the myths from the facts and break down the 3 real types of DMV rule changes happening at the state level that you absolutely need to know about. Okay, let's dive in.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You head down to the DMV to renew your license, something you've done a dozen times over the decades without a single problem. You've got all your paperwork lined up, you're ready for that questionable new photo, and you figure you'll be in and out. But this time is different. The clerk looks up and tells you that because you're over a certain age, you have to take an on-the-spot vision test you weren't expecting. Or maybe they tell you that you can't renew online anymore and you have to schedule a whole separate appointment, maybe even a road test. You know, for thousands of seniors, this isn't just a story. It's a real, stressful surprise that can suddenly put their entire driving independence on the line. And that last-minute shock is exactly what we want to help you avoid.
So, to make sure you're totally prepared, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the real reasons why these rules are changing in the first place. Then, we'll get into the details of the 3 big updates: new vision tests, more in-person renewals, and what these ability-based driving reviews are all about. And stick around because the most important part is at the end. A simple 5-step checklist you can use to stay ahead of everything and keep your license, no surprises.
So first things first, why is all of this happening right now? Well, let me be clear. It's not about targeting seniors. The simple truth is that states are just responding to 2 big things: shifts in our population and public safety data. As more and more of us are driving longer into our lives, transportation agencies are having to reevaluate their policies to strike a balance between keeping mature drivers independent and keeping everyone on the road safe. Let's look at the actual numbers that are fueling these decisions. The scale here is just wow. Take a look at that number, almost 60 million. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, you'll hear them called NHTSA, there were nearly 60 million licensed drivers aged 65 and up on U.S. roads in 2023. To put that in perspective, that's a 77% increase from just 20 years ago. So this isn't some small group of drivers. It's one of the biggest and, frankly, most experienced driving groups out there. And because it's growing so fast, you can see why state lawmakers and DMVs are paying way closer attention.
But it's not just about how many drivers there are. It's also about safety. Now, this next number is a tough one, but it's a key part of the story. In 2023, NHTSA reported that 7,810 fatal crashes involved at least one driver who is 65 or older. It is absolutely critical to understand the context here. This number does not mean older drivers are automatically unsafe. In fact, the CDC points out that older drivers are often more likely to wear their seatbelts and less likely to speed or drive impaired. But the data does show that, due to natural physical changes, the risk of being seriously hurt or even killed in a crash goes up with age, and that's why states feel they need to put these preventative safety checks in place.
At the end of the day, these rule changes are not about the number of candles on your birthday cake. They're about the natural, age-related changes in our bodies and minds that can affect driving. We're talking about vision, maybe having more trouble with glare at night. We're talking about physical fitness, like how easy it is to turn your head to check a blind spot. And, of course, reaction time and cognitive awareness. So DMVs are updating their policies to screen for these kinds of changes, focusing on a driver's current ability to be safe behind the wheel, not their age itself.
Okay, let's get into the first big rule change: more frequent and sometimes tougher vision screenings and renewal tests. For a lot of folks, this is the most common new hurdle they'll face at the DMV. But before we get into the state-by-state specifics, there is a massive, and I mean massive, myth that we need to bust right now.
Okay, I need everyone to listen really closely here, because this is where all the online confusion comes from. There is no new nationwide federal law for senior drivers. Let me say that again. There is no federal law. You might have seen some scary-looking videos or articles claiming some big new rule is coming from the federal government. That is 100% false. Driving laws, license requirements, all of it is set at the state level. What's true in California is probably completely different in Florida or Texas. So please, ignore the national rumors and focus only on the rules for your specific state.
And you can see just how different those rules can be. Take Florida, for example. Once you're 80 or older, you have to pass a vision test to renew your license, period. But in Virginia, that age trigger is 75, and you have to show up in person for the screening. Then you've got California, where drivers 70 and over have to pass a vision test to get their renewal finalized. These differences are exactly why you can't listen to general advice. You have to check your own state's DMV. So the big question is, what happens if you don't pass on the first try?
This is where problems often occur, but it's so important to know that failing that first quickie eye test at the DMV is not the end of the road. It's just the start of a process. Let's use California as an example. If you don't meet their 2040 standard, the DMV will hand you a form to take to your own eye doctor, an ophthalmologist or optometrist. They'll often give you a 60-day temporary license so you have time to do this. Your specialist does a full exam and fills out the report. Then, once you've seen your doctor and maybe gotten a new pair of glasses, you go back to the DMV. If you still have trouble, a driving test might be next, just to show you can safely compensate. The key takeaway is there are steps and there are options.
All right, on to the second big change, which is the move away from those super convenient online or mail-in renewals. Many seniors don't think about this until that renewal notice shows up. And, surprise, while younger drivers might be able to just click a few buttons online, some states are now saying that after a certain age, you have to come in. This lets them do the vision check we just talked about, but it also gives the DMV staff a chance for a quick, informal observation. It's not a test, but they can see if a person seems alert and physically okay, or if maybe there's a reason for a closer look.
The difference in how you renew can be pretty stark depending on your age. For years, renewing your license has gotten easier and easier. A simple online form, a few clicks, and you're done. But once you hit a certain birthday, states like California and Virginia say, nope, you've got to come see us. Now, this isn't meant to be a hassle. It's a safety checkpoint. But let's be real. For many, it's a huge hurdle. It means planning a trip, maybe arranging for a ride, dealing with parking, and waiting in those infamous DMV lines. It's a real-world challenge you need to plan for.
And once again, it all comes down to where you live. In Virginia, after you turn 75, it's an in-person renewal every 5 years. In California, it's age 70 for their 5-year renewal, though smartly, you can start the application online to save some time. But then look at New York. They have no special age requirement at all. Everybody's on the same 8-year cycle. This is the perfect illustration of why you can't rely on something your cousin in another state told you. You have to check your local DMV for the rules that apply to you.
Okay, here's where it gets real. This third category of rule changes is probably the most misunderstood and honestly the most feared. We're talking about reviews of a person's driving ability, often called re-examinations. The number one thing you need to know is that these are almost never triggered by your age. Instead, they're started because of a specific event or report that raises a concern about your ability to drive safely no matter how old you are. It's all about how you drive, not the year you were born.
So what exactly is a re-examination? Well, think of it as an evaluation of your driving skills. It gets triggered when the DMV has a credible reason to believe you might not be safe on the road anymore. This isn't just one thing. It can include a new vision test, a written test on traffic laws, and sometimes a behind-the-wheel driving test. The goal is just to figure out what's next. Can you still drive safely? Do you need a restriction like no driving at night? Or, in serious cases, does your license need to be suspended for safety reasons?
Now, what's really important to get is who can start this process. In many states, doctors are legally required to report certain medical conditions that can impair driving. A police officer can request a re-examination after a traffic stop if they see signs of confusion. Even a concerned family member can contact the DMV, though that's a really tough step to take. You can even trigger it yourself by reporting a new medical condition on your renewal form. The point is, these reviews are prompted by real-world observable evidence, not just because you hit a certain age.
That said, there are always exceptions to the rule, right? To give you the complete picture, you should know that a handful of states do have mandatory road tests based on age. The classic example everyone points to is Illinois. There, drivers 79 and older are required to pass an actual on-the-road test to renew their license, and it gets more frequent as you get older. This is definitely not the norm across the country, but it shows just how critical it is to know the specific rules for your exact location. All right, we have covered the problems, we've debunked the myths. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the solution. Because knowledge is power, and being proactive is the absolute best way to make sure you keep your driving independence without any stress or surprises. So here it is, a simple 5-step checklist to keep you in the driver's seat, literally, and ahead of any changes. Okay, let's walk through this. Step 1, when that renewal notice comes in the mail, read every single word. Don't just glance at the due date and toss it on the counter. That notice is your official guide. It will tell you exactly what's required. Step 2, don't wait for the DMV. Schedule a routine eye exam with your own doctor well before your license is up for renewal. That gives you plenty of time to get new glasses if you need them so you can walk in there feeling confident. Step 3, confirm the rules for yourself. Go to your state's official DMV website, not some random site you found online, or give them a call to confirm the rules for your age group. Step 4, while you're on that website, see if there are any knowledge or road tests you need to study for. Many DMVs have free practice tests online. And finally, Step 5, have an honest chat with your doctor about your health and how it might affect your driving.
When it all comes down to it, your ability to drive is way too important to leave to chance or to be swayed by rumors you see on Facebook. By taking these simple, proactive steps, you can navigate the whole renewal process on your own terms, not under the pressure of a looming deadline. Being informed and prepared, that is the ultimate key to keeping your independence and staying safely on the road for years to come. So the question I'll leave you with is this: what is the one thing you can do this week to get ready for your next renewal?